For the longest time, we've been told a very neat and tidy story about where we came from. But it turns out that story is being completely torn up and rewritten right before our eyes. The last few decades of discovery have shown us a human history that is so much messier, more complex, and honestly, a whole lot more interesting than we ever thought possible. We have all seen this picture, right? The classic March of Progress. You've got the ape slowly standing up straighter and straighter until, ta-da, you have us. It's clean, it's simple, and it makes our existence feel like this inevitable, triumphant endpoint. Well, here's the thing. That simple, neat story, it's almost entirely wrong. The latest science shows us that our evolution wasn't a straight line at all. It was more like a crazy tangled bush, with all these different branches and different kinds of humans, many of them living at the exact same time. And that just blows the doors wide open, doesn't it? If that old, comfortable story is gone, what's the new one? Who were our ancestors really? And what does their incredibly complex world tell us about who we are today? Okay, let's dive into this. First off, let's get one thing straight. For most of our history, Homo sapiens were not alone, not even close. The planet was a seriously crowded place, home to multiple human species. And one of the most baffling and fascinating of them all was only discovered about a decade ago, deep in a South African cave, Homo naledi. Now, here's what's absolutely wild. The fossils showed that Homo naledi was walking the Earth around 300,000 years ago. This wasn't some ancient primitive ancestor from millions of years back. No, they were our contemporaries. While the very first Homo sapiens were emerging in Africa, Neanderthals were in Europe, Denisovans were in Asia, and Homo naledi was right there in South Africa. It was a world of many different humans, all at once. And this is where the sparks really start to fly. The team that found them makes some shocking claims that Naledi buried their dead, that they carved symbols onto cave walls, maybe even used fire. But other scientists are hitting the brakes, and hard. They say, hold on, the bodies could have just washed into the cave. Those marks could be natural scratches. And the biggest hurdle of all, Homo naledi had a brain about the size of an orange, literally a third the size of ours. Could a creature with a brain that small really be capable of such complex, symbolic behavior? This quote from researcher Maria Martinon Torres really nails the skepticism in the scientific community. It's a perfect reminder that science isn't just about big headlines, it's about rigorous proof. And the mystery of Homo naledi is a fiery, passionate debate that's happening right now. The jury is still very much out. So, fossils are one huge piece of the puzzle. But what if I told you that some of the biggest clues to our past aren't buried in the ground at all? They're actually hidden inside every single one of us, in our DNA. And they're revealing a story of ancient encounters we never even knew happened. The old story used to be pretty simple. Our ancestors left Africa in one big wave, met the Neanderthals, and that was that. But our genes tell a much more complicated tale. It looks like there were multiple waves of migration, not just out of Africa, but back into it as well, leading to several different periods of interbreeding with Neanderthals over a vast timescale. Our family tree isn't a tree so much as a web. And then it gets even weirder. A recent groundbreaking statistical study looked at human genomes from all over the world and came to a mind-bending conclusion. To explain the genetic diversity we see today, our ancestry has to be a mix, about 80% from a main ancestral line and 20% from a totally different, completely unknown archaic human group. This is what's called a ghost lineage. Think about that. We have never found a single bone from these people. Not a tooth, not a skull fragment. We have no idea what they looked like, but we carry their genetic echo inside of us. It means about a fifth of who we are comes from a mystery human species that has, for now, been completely lost to time. Okay, so our family tree is a total mess, right? We've got cousins we never knew about and literal ghosts in our DNA. But it's not just the who of our story that's changing, it's also the where. For decades, we thought we knew exactly what kind of environment made us human. You've probably heard this one, the savanna hypothesis. It was the textbook theory forever. The idea was that we came down from the trees, stood up on 2 feet, and became the humans we are today out on the wide open grasslands of Africa. It was our cradle, the one place that forged us. But what if that wasn't the whole story? What if, 150,000 years ago, our ancestors were already thriving somewhere completely different, somewhere we were always told they just couldn't survive? And a discovery in Ivory Coast shows us just that. Researchers found stone tools dating back 150,000 years. And here's the kicker. The soil analysis proved that back then, the site was a dense tropical rainforest. This completely shatters the savanna-only idea and shows us our species' true superpower: adaptability. We weren't just savanna specialists, we were ecological generalists, able to make a home almost anywhere. So our biological story is way more complex. But what about our cultural story? What about the dawn of so-called civilization? Well, get ready, because a single archaeological site in Turkey has forced us to throw that entire timeline out the window. 11,600 years ago. Let that number sink in. This is long before farming, before writing, before pottery. At this point in history, humans were supposed to be living as simple hunter-gatherers. And yet, they built one of the most stunning and sophisticated structures of the ancient world. Welcome to Göbekli Tepe. I mean, just look at this chart. Its age is absolutely staggering. It's more than twice as old as the pyramids of Giza. It predates Stonehenge by over 6,000 years. This wasn't built by a great empire with armies of laborers. It was built by hunter-gatherers, people we thought were incapable of this kind of massive, organized project. And these weren't just crude huts. Some researchers believe the incredible carvings on its massive stone pillars, like the famous vulture stone, aren't just art. They argue it's a complex star chart, an astronomical record of a catastrophic comet impact that sent the planet into a mini ice age. We're talking about hunter-gatherers acting as astronomers, creating a history book in stone. So what do you do with all of this? A tiny-brained relative that might have buried its dead, a ghost in our DNA, rainforest pioneers from 150,000 years ago, and Stone Age astronomers. It all weaves together to tell a radically new story about who we are. So what does it all mean? It means that simple, straight line of progress is gone for good. Our story is a rich, tangled tapestry. It's a story defined by diversity, by mixing and mingling with other kinds of humans, by adapting to any environment the world could throw at us, and by a level of creativity and intelligence that emerged thousands of years earlier than we ever thought possible. And that leaves you with one final, incredible thought. Almost all of these revolutionary discoveries have happened in just the last few years, in our lifetimes. It just makes you wonder, right? If we've learned this much this quickly, what else is out there? What other lost ancestors and forgotten worlds are still buried, just waiting for us to find them?